Hello and welcome to CVR News Network. You're watching CVR English, World 360, and I'm Sandeep. The wait is over. White smoke billowed from Sistine Chapel, signaling the election of 267th Pope. Cardinal Robert Francis Prevost of Chicago was introduced as Pope Leo XIV, making history as the first American-born pontiff. The 69-year-old, who served extensively in Peru, addressed the crowd in Italian and Spanish, offering a message of peace and unity. His election followed a swift two-day conclave concluded with traditional Habemus Papam announcement.
Annuncio vobis gaudium magnum. Habemus Papam. Eminentissimum, ac reverendissimum Dominum, Dominum Robertum Franciscum, Sancte Romane Ecclesiae Cardinalem Prevost, qui sibi nomen imposuit Leonem XIV.
La pace sia con tutti voi. Fratelli, sorelle carissimi, questo è il primo saluto del Cristo risorto, il buon pastore che ha dato la vita per il gregge di Dio. Anch'io vorrei che questo saluto di pace entrasse nel vostro cuore, raggiungesse le vostre famiglie, a tutte le persone, ovunque siano, a tutti i popoli, a tutta la terra. La pace sia con
President Donald Trump expressed his enthusiasm over the election of Cardinal Robert Francis Prevost as Pope Leo XIV, the first American-born pontiff. Trump described the event as a great honor for our country and conveyed his eagerness to meet the new pope. Despite Pope Leo XIV's previous criticism of Trump immigration policies, Trump extended his congratulations and highlighted the significance of this milestone for the United States.
Not a full camera there.
Such an honor for our country.
Watch out, watch out. Sir!
Quick, guys, quick. It's such a great honor for our country to have American
Hey,
vote.
watch out, watch out.
And, I mean, what greater honor could there be? And we were a little bit surprised, very happy. It was just a great, absolutely great honor.
Is this the first of many, Mr. President, the first of many trade agreements we can expect you to announce here at the White House?
Say it again.
Is this the first of many trade agreements
You gotta move it to full camera.
here at the White
No,
House?
we'll do others for the White House. We're working on 3 of them right now, trade agreements. We're doing 3. And we just left Tiger. You saw Tiger? He's fantastic. Great champion, great guy. And but you know, we'll be doing a lot of the signings. They would like to do them in the Oval Office.
Mr. President, are you sure that the UK will take American chlorinated chicken? That deal has not been done yet.
What is that?
Are you sure that the UK will take American chlorinated chicken? That deal has not been done yet.
We're changing all of that, but we have it both ways. You know, we have it both ways.
Mr. President,
Are you still going to make an earth-shattering announcement?
We'll have somebody great. We'll have somebody great. I really thought he was terrific, but we are doing so many different things right now that we couldn't be really focused on it. He's a wonderful guy. He's going to have a great future, maybe with us.
Oh, you guys on it?
What's next?
Mr. President, are you planning to meet the Pope in the near future?
Mr. President,
They've already called.
They've already called. When is that? Do you have a timing in mind?
They have already spoken to us, and we'll see what happens. But again, to have the Pope from the United States of America, that's a great honor. That's a great honor.
Sir, has you met before? Sir, had you...
I'm watching, and they said he's from America. I said, that's great.
are you going to
Jack it up all the way.
Have you met him before?
I don't think so, but we're having very good conversations. Very, very good.
Violence in India and Pakistan, Mr. President, is that going to derail your country?
Any thought of whether or not to temptation to El Salvador and anywhere that they could be foreign?
I haven't heard about it. I haven't heard about it. I mean, I haven't heard of it. Actually, I hope not.
President Donald Trump agreed on Thursday to cut tariffs on UK auto, steel and aluminium in a planned trade deal, but played down the possibility of other nations getting similar favorable terms on his import taxes, which are roiling the global economy. Under the framework agreement, the United Kingdom is to buy more American beef and ethanol and streamline its customs process for goods from the United States. But Trump's baseline 10% tariffs against British goods are to stay in place, and the Republican president suggested that even higher import taxes would be charged on other countries trying to reach the deals with the United States.
I want to thank Prime Minister Starmer and his very talented team for their outstanding work and partnership. Today's agreement with the UK is the first in a series of agreements on trade that my administration has been negotiating over the past 4 weeks. With this deal, the UK joins the United States in affirming that reciprocity and fairness is an essential and vital principle of international trade. But this is now turning out, I think, really to be a great deal for both countries, because it'll be really great for the UK also. So they're opening up the country. Their country is a little closed. The final details are being written up in the coming weeks. We'll have it all very conclusive, but the actual deal is a very conclusive one. We think just about everything's been approved. So good for both countries.
Thank you, Mr. President, Donald. And this is a really fantastic, historic day in which we can announce this deal between our two great countries. And I think it's a real tribute to the history that we have of working so closely together. This is going to boost trade between and across our countries. It's going to not only protect jobs but create jobs, opening market access. And as you say, Donald, the timing couldn't be more apt, because not only was it 80 years ago today that victory came for Europe after and at the end of the Second World War, but of course on that day the UK and the US stood together as the closest of allies. So to be able to announce this great deal on the same day, 80 years forward, almost at the same hour, and as we were 80 years ago, with the UK and the US standing side by side, I think is incredibly important and makes this truly historic.
I want to thank Prime Minister Starmer and his very talented team for their outstanding work and partnership. Today's agreement with the UK is the first in a series of agreements on trade that my administration has been negotiating over the past 4 weeks. With this deal, the UK joins the United States in affirming that reciprocity and fairness is an essential and vital principle of international trade. But this is now turning out, I think, really to be a great deal for both countries, because it'll be really great for the UK also. So they're opening up the country. Their country is a little closed. The final details are being written up in the coming weeks. We'll have it all very conclusive, but the actual deal is a very conclusive one. We think just about everything's been approved. So good for both countries.
Thank you, Mr. President, Donald, and this is a really fantastic, historic day in which we can announce this deal between our two great countries, and I think it's a real tribute to
World leaders including China's Xi Jinping and Brazil's Lula, Egypt's Sisi and others arrived at Kremlin shaking hands with Vladimir Putin ahead of Russia's lavish Victory Day parade. With 29 leaders in attendance, this 80th anniversary event is Putin's bold show of global support amid the Ukraine war and Western sanctions. The US House of Representatives narrowly passed a bill to rename Gulf of Mexico as Gulf of America, codifying President Trump's earlier executive order. The legislation, introduced by Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene, mandates federal agencies to adopt the new name in official documents and maps within 180 days. While supporters view the change as patriotic assertion of United States dominance, critics argue it's a symbol distraction from pressing national issues.
On this vote, the yeas are 213, the nays are 209. The resolution is adopted without objection. A motion to reconsider is laid on the table.
Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky marked Remembrance Day and Victory Day by walking through central Kiev, recording a video message amid city's bustling streets. He contrasted the vibrant life in Kiev with Russia's heavily secured Victory Day parade in Moscow, criticizing it as a parade of fear. Zelensky emphasized Ukraine's resilience and condemned Russia's ongoing aggression, highlighting the stark differences between the two nations' commemorations.
Доброго ранку, дорогі українці, українки. Сьогодні день пам'яті перемоги над нацизмом. День, який ми відзначаємо разом з усім світом, з усіма, хто 80 років тому боровся за життя, аби зло програло, аби ніколи знову. На жаль, 3 роки тому це знову повторилось, і так само, як колись над Києвом знову заревіла сирена повітряної тривоги. Зло знову пішло на нашу землю українську. Вранці 24 лютого на Хрещатику було пусто. Ні машин, ні людей. Зараз тут життя, ви бачите. Завтра про звірства нацистів буде говорити організатор братських могил у Бучі. І про блокаду Ленінграду казатимуть саме ті, хто влаштував блокаду Маріуполя. Буде парад цинізму. Інакше, доброго ранку, дорогі українці, українки. Сьогодні день пам'яті перемоги над нацизмом. День, який ми відзначаємо разом з усім світом, з усіма, хто
King Charles III used the words of his late grandfather to warn that the blood of our dearest must not be allowed to have flowed in vain in his speech to mark the 80th anniversary of Victory in Europe Day. Speaking at the event the same time that George VI addressed the nation 80 years ago, Charles said that his grandfather's words echo down in history, but added that in remembering the past, we must also look to the future.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is now 80 years since my grandfather, King George VI, announced to the nation and the Commonwealth that the dreadful shadow of war has passed from our hearths and our homes. The liberation of Europe was secured. His words echo down through history as all this week, and especially today, we unite to celebrate and remember with an unwavering and heartfelt gratitude the service and sacrifice of the wartime generation who made that hard-fought victory possible. While our greatest debt is owed to all those who paid the ultimate price, we should never forget how the war changed the lives of virtually everyone. Now, as then, we are united in giving utmost thanks to all those who served in the armed forces, the uniformed services, the home front, indeed all the people of this country, the Commonwealth, and beyond, whose firm resolve and fortitude helped destroy Nazism and carry our allied nations through to VE Day. That debt can never truly be repaid, but we can and we will remember them. Over the course of the last year, there have been 80th anniversaries across Europe, from the hills of Monte Cassino to the lower Rhine at Arnhem. Last June, my wife and I were profoundly moved to join veterans of D-Day at the new National Memorial overlooking Gold Beach as they returned to honor their comrades who never came home. In January, as the world marked the liberation of Auschwitz, I met survivors whose stories of unspeakable horror were the most vivid reminder of why victory in Europe truly was the triumph of good over evil. All these moments and more combine to lead us to this day when we recall both those darkest days and the great jubilation when the threat of death and destruction was finally lifted from our shores. Ladies and gentlemen, it is now 80 years since my grandfather.
Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi arrived in New Delhi amidst the escalating tensions between India and Pakistan following a deadly attack in Indian-administered Kashmir. Araghchi urged both nations to exercise restraint to prevent further escalation, emphasizing the importance of regional stability for economic cooperation. His visit part of the 20th Iran-India Joint Commission, including discussions with Indian External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar on bilateral ties and regional developments.
کاهش تنش هستیم و امیدوار هستیم که طرفین با خویشتن‌داری که خودشون نشون خواهند داد جلوی تنش بیشتر رو بگیرن. منطقه امیدوار هستیم که طرفین با خویشتن‌داری که خودشون نشون
Our region needs peace, especially to expand economic cooperation between regional countries, and we hope this will happen.
داره برای گسترش همکاری‌های اقتصادی به خصوص بین کشورهای منطقه و امیدوار هستیم که این اتفاق بیفته.
Amid heightened tensions between India and Pakistan, U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio held urgent talks with Pakistan Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif and Indian External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar, urging immediate de-escalation. State Department spokesperson Tammy Bruce emphasized the importance of communication over silence, expressing disappointment over the recent violence. She confirmed the U.S. is engaged with both governments and supports accountability for the recent terrorist attack.
Taking your questions here. Yes, please.
Thanks, Tammy. On India and Pakistan, I saw the readouts of the Secretary's calls, but can you give us any more details on any requests or commitments that the Secretary made of either the Pakistanis or the Indians moving forward? And there was also a note expressing condolences about civilians killed in his conversation with the Pakistanis. Should we take this to mean that the U.S. does not have fidelity on India's claims that these were terrorist infrastructures that were struck?
Well, I think that having been listening to those calls, some of them, and being in the process, as all of us were in some fashion or another when this conflict began, it was the real focus of the Secretary of State, who has been the center point leading these conversations and this outreach. And he's made very clear, focusing on two things, that this should not escalate. This has been a key framework. Clearly, this has been an issue for decades, and it's with what we saw over the last few weeks after the terrorist attack. It was not surprising, but very, very disappointing. But it was about certainly that it should not escalate, and communication was fundamentally key, that there should be talks, that there should not be silence, and that America obviously was in the center of this in speaking with a variety of leaders of both countries over the last 2 days.
So has he offered to play a mediation role between the two countries?
As you know, I mean, there's this is in every situation. In this particular case, of course, a very delicate and dangerous situation. But in any case where there's diplomatic conversations, between leaders of countries or really any level where there's negotiations happening. We are not going to be speaking about the details. That is certainly our policy. We think it's important to not put details in the midst of the media, the worldwide media, when the work is being done privately between leaders, and we need to really try to keep it that way.
Sorry, and on the infrastructure, is there anything you can say? Does the U.S. have they been provided with any intelligence to back up India's claims here?
What I can say here, a few more things, certainly. We continue to urge...
During a recent press interaction, President Donald Trump was asked whether he would consider lowering the tariff rate on China if the ongoing trade talks this weekend prove successful. The president responded with cautious optimism.
The talks go well this weekend between Secretary Bessent and Ambassador Greer with their Chinese counterparts, not preemptively, but if the talks go well, would you then consider lowering the tariff rate on China?
Well, it could be. I mean, we're going to see right now. You can't get any higher. It's at 145, so we know it's coming down. I think we're going to have a very good relationship. You know, I always got along very well with President Xi. That relationship was greatly disturbed by COVID when COVID came in, but we get along very well now. I mean, the relationship was hurt with a lot of people, a lot of countries when COVID came in. But I think we're going to have a very good relationship. I expect to have a very good relationship with China, Scott. I think it's a very friendly meeting. They look forward to doing it in an elegant way. China, as you know, has a tremendous trade surplus with us, and we just can't have that. And but I think it's going to be very good for both countries. I would like to see China opened. You know, one of the big things here is, and nobody would know this, but the UK was largely closed. It was very much closed to trade. And now it's opened, and a lot of the financial reporters are very happy about that because so much I've listened to them. I hope they get countries opened up, and then you compete on a fair basis. But you can't compete when you're not allowed to go there. China would be the number one example of that. You know, it's very closed. We almost had it last time before COVID, and that didn't work out. But we made a great deal with China. They had to buy $50 billion worth of our food products, and it was a great deal, doing very well for our farmers. And then when Biden came in, as usual, nothing happened. You know, he didn't enforce it, and it got less, and ultimately, you know, it destroyed a great deal. That was a great deal. But no, I think that we're going to have a good weekend with China. I think they have a lot to gain. I do think they have far more to gain than we do in a sense, but.
And that's the end of the World 360. Stay tuned to CVR News English.